Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Stylosa and we've got a massive update here for Helldivers. This concerns the amount of heavy enemies spawning, the amount of, well, their heavy armor as well, how hard it is to take them down. And we've got an update from the Arrowhead CEO, the big boss, on the developer that said the player base are kind of brainless, or was implying it was a brainless strategy. So we've got to break all of this down. Let's do it. So let's begin with this, the heavy armor conundrum. Now, if you guys have been playing the game over the last couple of days, I'm sure you have, heavy enemies are incredibly difficult to kill. Chargers are absolutely the nightmare of the game at the moment. Hulks are still difficult to kill, but at least they've got a weak spot on their faceplate on their front, so you can still kind of aim for that. But it's getting out of control, and too many of them are spawning, and you're just getting swamped towards the end of missions, especially when it comes to extraction. As you're trying to extract, you generally end up with a ton of Hulks, ton of like highly armored enemies, tanks as well, and you just can't get rid of them. Like, they're just doing too much damage. They're impossible to kill, and it feels like you're, running away. You don't really have the option, or it's not really viable to fight them. Anyway, this is the update straight from the devs. Hello, divers. I wanted to take a moment this afternoon to let you all know that we've heard your concerns over the last few days regarding enemy spawns, enemy armor, and the ability to kill these enemies. As we've said before, our teams are always taking in player feedback and looking at how we can tweak the game to ensure that it is fair, enjoyable, and provides the best experience for everyone. I can confirm that we're currently looking at changes to the spawn rates and health pools of heavy enemies, and we'll be attempting to spread them out more to prevent large spikes of tougher mobs appearing at the same time, as well as making them a bit easier to bring down. This change should go out in a future hotfix. No date as of yet. Thanks, as always, for your patience. Now, I don't think we could actually have asked for anything more there. So reducing the number of them when they all spawn, making it easier to kill them, or less difficult, I should say, to kill them. Because we want to take them on. We want to kill them. We don't want to just run away from them. It's like, uh-oh, there's now 4 Hulks running around. Like, I was in a mission, and like the Hulks are just running around in the extraction zone. They're just killing us as soon as we spawn back in. Tanks are just shelling us from range. It's like, what is going on? It doesn't feel great. And of course, if you do a Terminid eradication mission, they get out of control really fast, especially if it's on any difficulty. To be honest, even 6 is really hard. Even 5 is stupidly hard at the moment. But if it's 7 and above, you're just going to get swamped in those heavily armored enemies, the Chargers and a couple of Bile Titans, and it just isn't great. So it's good that they're looking at this, because I want to go back to just blasting things and blowing them away. So this was a comment from earlier on, 20 hours ago, as you can see on the image. In fact, it's a bit longer than that. This image I took about 10 hours ago, so maybe 30 hours ago. But basically, this developer is engaging with the community, and I guess the issue here is the developer basically is angry. They're heated because they're responding to a thread which is talking about the balance changes, and they basically say this: I'm feeding the rage a little for my own entertainment here, just so you know. We haven't nerfed anything into the ground. I just think it's a little too early to pretend like the game is figured out. We made 2 of the most brainless playstyles less viable, and brought the guns that are underperforming, overperforming, more into line with the rest. The game is only a couple of weeks old, so before we start making sweeping changes, we want everything roughly where we intended from the start. This doesn't mean we won't be bringing things up when we know more about how people play the game. Now, the problem with this is like developer, it's like developer know-it-all sort of thing, like, shut up community, you listen to me, I know what I'm talking about. Now, if the devs want to act like that behind closed doors, there's not much people can do about that. But when you go out and publicly kind of act like that, it's a real bad image and it's a bad taste. And rule number 1 of the gaming industry, and in fact any industry, if you're producing a product, you don't go out there and call your customers brainless, which is effectively what this person is saying. Because, yeah, I agree that the railgun strategy is like a brainless strategy, but I'm not a developer of the game. I'm not going out telling people the thing they've bought and paid money for, and that they enjoy playing, they're brainless because, yeah, they enjoy playing it, when I'm a developer and I put that in the game. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. It's not a good look. Well, of course, this caused a massive, ton of outrage in the community, especially over on Reddit. This post popped up. It says, well, fellas, this is probably the worst look imaginable, and it was a quote of the message I just read. The game director responded to this a couple of hours ago and says this: we are aware of this and have taken action internally to educate our developers on how to represent the organization. This is not a message that the studio stands behind. We are always working to make as an enjoyable experience and community that we can. We are taking your feedback and improving based on it. Thank you, all love. So that's a great response straight away there, right? This is the start of the sort of positive PR campaign by the CEO, the game director, to just basically say, look, yes, the developer was out of line there, but we're going to actually, you know, sort this out, and we're sorry for any confusion, and we're sorry for any, like, you know, bad image that it's actually caused. Then this popped up in Discord, and it's one of the Discord moderators, and it says, man, watching you all cry, it amuses me so much. Again, not a very good look from somebody who is involved, you know, with the game. This was posted on Reddit and moderated the official Helldivers Discord, adding more fuel to the flame. And the director turns up and answers and responds to this and says, hey all, yeah, this is inexcusable behavior, and we're providing education on how not to behave this way when representing the studio. So again, it's like, look, yeah, they shouldn't be talking like this, and we're going to try and, you know, help them. There is also something we've got to remember here as well. Arrowhead have never had a game of this magnitude. This is like come straight out of left field. I mean, I think they thought the game would do okay, but not to the levels it actually is performing. Massive influx of players, huge player base, and you know, you have to have a communication strategy in place. And if you don't, then things like what obviously we've covered in this video will happen, and they need to kind of stop them. And it is good that they're reacting so fast to try and put a lid on it before it gets out of control. And there's also another response as well, and this is probably the best response from the game director. So again, over on Reddit, it says, I'm all for balance changes, but why are devs antagonizing the player base? Again, this is a valid question, right? You read that original comment I read out in this video where the dev says, you know, brainless playstyles, and it's almost, you know, it was an arrogant message, really, in a lot of ways. Yeah, open it up with like, oh yeah, I'm going to troll. I mean, what, you know, okay. It spawns messages like this, though, and this is the problem, or reactions like this from the community. Anyway, game director comes in and says this, hey, thank you for bringing this up. This is not the intention from the studio perspective, but since I am a heavy subscriber of a communicative studio, it means that I encourage developers to engage with the community. However, this also exposes us to risks of miscommunication or heated arguments, and it's something that we actively discuss internally at the studio to improve on. While I understand that it reflects on the studio as a whole, it is not our intention that this should be the behavior from us. We want to ensure that you all have the best time possible in this game and in this community. As for the balance patch and the opinions surrounding it, we actively read as much as we possibly can and take what is said into consideration. When we discuss things internally, right now, the hot topic is your guys' feedback and response to the balance adjustments and the feeling of the game experience at large. So I don't think we can really expect more than you know, what the game director has done there. That is probably the best way they could have handled this situation, because it could have just started to get out of control. You know, if nothing was said about this and it was just left, it would be like, oh yeah, Arrowhead developers, you know, they would just all get banded together, or they, you know, they think we're brainless, they think we're that and this, and it would get out of control. So they needed to say something, and they needed to do something, and they did. Now, this is obviously a wider problem for them, where, like I said, the game is massively popular. They've got a massive community, and it's highly active, and it's reacting to everything. And this is going to be something which is, in theory, going to get bigger as time goes on. So they need to really get in place structures to deal with this and say, you know, we want to be an open studio. We want to talk about things, but we can't just go out and just act like we normally do, you know? Or we can't act like we're just some rando in the player base going, yeah, you're brainless because you use a railgun. But I can say that because I am brainless. And, well, I don't use a railgun anyway, but I am brainless, but I'm not a developer. It's the same for all you guys watching this video. You're not developers of the game. So there is a certain standard they have to adhere to because, of course, it reflects on the studio. Anyway, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. It's been a wild couple of days covering this game. A ton of stuff going on. But anyway, I'm going back to help get some exosuits liberated. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you soon.